Welcome to Data Wars.
Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Data Wars. I am very excited today to welcome our guest, Vinay Simha. And we've been waiting for this for a while. And I can't wait for the episode today for everything we have planned for you guys.
Thanks, Ash. I know this is an episode which is in the making for a while now, and Vinay, you and I and Ash have been talking for a while, and I'm super excited about today. So we have something really amazing because we are speaking to a true architect of a modern data landscape and a good friend of our work here that we do on data. Vinay is a founder and strategic business at the Strategic Business Networks, and he's bringing over 25 years of deep in the trenches experience to the table today. So many of you probably know him already, so he probably doesn't need a big intro, but he's been around for a long time, 25 years of experience. As I said, he's worked at companies like Philip Healthcare, and as a leading guy in charge of global digital transformations in large companies. So, but honestly, I think his influence goes beyond that. He's been recognized as one of the top 100 AI makers, top 10 voices in data management in Europe, and he also chaired many summits guiding Fortune 500 companies through kiosks. So I'm very excited about this, Ash, and I know you are also. Vinay, why don't we let you take and tell us a little bit about yourself?
Sure. First of all, thank you, Ash and Prash. I'm more excited than you. And hello, everyone. It's something that was long waited for. And I always aspire to be in this podcast as well. So thank you for the invitation. So my name is Vinay Simha, the founder of Strategic Business Networks. So this is a company I founded recently, 2025. It's been 4 months, and with the purpose of transforming data into business value. And it's a mission, it's a personal mission I have taken up because I have lived and experienced the value of data in terms of building highly competitive companies as well as seeing companies fail that don't really focus on data. And I led a very comfortable career, but I felt that in the age of AI, and everyone is really ready for AI, there is a dearth of focus in terms of preparedness of data. And that's what I've been doing for the last 25 years. So I stepped out of my corporate role and took on this mission as my life mission to help every enterprise transform in the age of AI with data. So that's
I
about
love
me.
that. I love
Thank
that,
you.
Vinay. So I know we've been speaking for a while now, and I have seen your growth and our growth together over the years. It's like this whole concept of golden handcuffs, right? So we get tied into something which we love doing, obviously, initially, but then it feels like, okay, maybe I should be doing something else. Maybe my purpose of life is something else. So maybe let's talk a little bit about that because I'm very, very curious about it, and I know the audience will be also. You spent years at the pinnacle of corporate world, like you led at Philips Healthcare. You were recognized as top 100 AI maker. um, and most importantly for most of us, with a family, with a kid, there's a promised paycheck to be getting every week, every, in my case, I get two paychecks. So one at the middle of the month and one at the end of the month. So having all that fun and great things going, but then you say, wait a second, I need to go do something else. My purpose is larger than this. So you walked away from that and you found, in your case, a strategic business network company. So that is a lot of change suddenly, and there must be a reason behind that. Can you take us through that journey a little bit and tell us what that was about?
Absolutely. Yeah, it's a joyous journey to be in corporate leadership role with a high paying check, all the perks, benefits, and fancy titles. And of course, it comes with a great responsibility as well. I enjoyed it, no regrets. But somewhere I felt that there is an ikigai in all of us, the ikigai about finding our own purpose.
Mhm.
And what will the world remember us for when we die? Right? What is one thing? So if I just ask that question to myself and goes back to where I started my life, my
Mhm.
journey, my career, and so on, and what where I'm here, there's one thing that's common across every phase of my life. Of course, after my qualification as an engineer is every point in time I have been solving problem around data. Right. So as an young engineer, when I got into supply chain and started handling the manufacturing plants, uh, I had screwed up things by just making mistakes in maintaining master data. So I had literally broken up the supply chains just because of not maintaining the attributes. So that was a learning, and I had to solve it. Then got into consulting and started solving problems around why ERPs failed, and that also was with respect to data, master data and transaction data. And that purpose became big in terms of somebody not really setting that vision for me, because of which I had to face a lot of challenges. So took up the role of seeing data from a strategic perspective. What really revolves around data architecture, what the strategic data management means to business, and how do we really run companies as a data driven business. That took me to the next level of being a corporate leader. So the one common underlying thing is just about solving problems around data which had network effects. So the strategic business networks that I founded was exactly around this principle of every business is today grounded on data. So that's about business. And this data has to be seen, always seen from a strategic perspective, else you're bound to fail. And this is today proven in the age of AI. So that's strategic business. The third is about network. Data always has network effect. It's like compounding. You have it managed as an asset and now as a product, and you see the ripple effects of those investments for not just months and years, but for decades. And that's what I learned from my experience. So I made a bold choice that I should really bet on myself. No doubt, I was afraid. I was afraid of failure. I was insecure of not getting a paycheck every end of month. I had to get used to not getting an SMS on 30th of every month. It's monthly salary in India, right? And no title. So I think it goes back to the deep belief. So I had to work on myself in terms of what my core beliefs are, what are my value systems that shaped me up, with which I could help executives, I could transform organizations, I could transform people. And I'm today actually rejoicing this journey. I'm feeling this as a very fulfilling journey in terms of really looking at listening to core beliefs, really looking at my inner voice telling me what I should do. I always read in books, always watch this on movies, but I'm experiencing it. So it's a great feeling to be stepping out and following my passion, but also a bigger purpose, a purpose that is larger than my life itself, and that's the mission I've taken up.
I love that, Vinay. If I can ask you a follow up question. First of all, the whole the strategic business networks, I think you nicely broke it down as to almost every word has a meaning there, which I didn't know first. So that's a great way to go about how you name the things that you start, because everything has to have a meaning. And it kind of takes me back to the way we all, at least I have looked at my own life. Like every 6 months, you kind of have to reinvent yourself, right? So if you want to stay relevant, especially in the world of AI, in the world of things that are moving so fast at rapid pace, it's become clear to me that companies and people like us, individuals, constantly have to reinvent ourselves. And I put myself like this 6 month window in my own life. Like, how do I make myself or keep myself relevant? And I keep some time for me to think through that. And I think you had done that really well. One last question on that topic: what was the scariest moment in those 100 days? Because starting a company is never easy thing.
Yeah, I think until I found the first customer, I was always uncertain.
Yeah.
But I think I had that inner belief. I prepared this from a mindset standpoint that there is always a hope. Every day I woke up looking for someone who believed in this vision. And I'm glad I could get one within 2 months, with in fact about
Love
45
it.
days. Um, so yeah, it's we are all humans. I think the fear, the anxiety is part of our life, and we have to accept it, but we cannot live it. So the choice is with us to embark on the mission on a much bigger purpose. So if Gandhiji had not fallen off the train, Indian independence movement would not have started, right? So it all starts with one moment.
That's so true. That's so true.
You said something which really resonated with me. Um, Going from a safety net and jumping onto the bandwagon of unknown. You had to really break down your beliefs and kind of reinvent and ask yourself, what is the purpose of what you do? Can you just kind of tell us about a bit about that journey? Like, is there any books you read to kind of, find that voice inside you and the conviction to take this leap of faith?
Yeah, I'm an avid reader. You can see most of my
Yeah.
books behind me. Somewhere the books also have shaped up. I have a board of mentors and coaches as well, whom I talk to. And I have a habit of journaling as well. So I
Mm,
talk to myself. I talk to myself about my weaknesses, my strengths, what I cannot do, and what I can do. And this helps me stay grounded. This is very important to also ensure we subordinate our ego, especially when it comes to careers in data leadership and data management. There is always a voice that is superior to us, right? So it's very important to listen to everyone's perspective, and that comes with the habit of daily journaling, meditation, reading books, watching a lot of inspirational movies as well, listening to inspirational leaders, go and meeting them. Uh, that itself is a, it's like mobile, charging the mobile. So why do we charge our
mm,
mobile? So we had to be not the mobiles but be the charger. So we charge
mm.
ourselves on a day-to-day basis, on an hourly basis, and that drives us with power. So we have a self-empowerment that is needed for us to sustain that vulnerability. So we are bound to become vulnerable. We will be insecure, we'll be anxious, but that comes with charging the mobile. So mobile is your mind, your inner self, but uh, you'll have to keep charging this on a day-to-day basis.
I love that analogy. You know, you're one of the top voices in data management, and I wanted to talk to you. How you guide organizations when it comes to investing in the data management stack. Um, I am a big fan of your LinkedIn posts, and I see that you bring a thought leadership to the platform, which is why a lot of people follow you there. Um, so, what are some insights you can share with us, for any organizations that are starting on this journey of data strategy and they're trying to build a case for data management? As I ask this question, I also start thinking that, uh, you know, recently there was the social network for agents launched. It's the big thing we're all hearing about right now, and OpenClaw is really making waves. And moments like this gonna make this question very relevant because you have these big players like Google and Amazon, OpenAI with billions in funding, whose only job night and day is to build something viral like that and get it out. But you always have a startup. Some person and a bunch of people with open source come out and it becomes the de facto sort of standard now for your personal agents on the desktop, right? Everybody's downloading that open source code now. So walk us through how you think about sort of, when you kind of think about organizations which are trying to disrupt and trying to build a case for more investment in data management, how should data leaders approach it? Especially when they're evaluating sort of, the technology, the vendor, the partners.
Absolutely. So this has also been a gap in the industry, honestly, with a lot of technology choices available. There is a dilemma as well, the ROI dilemma and technology dilemma. So we don't know what technology to choose. We don't know what ROI to chase, right? So that's a common dilemma that every leader goes through. But in principle, what has really worked for me is uh, the clarity around the vision. Those leaders who had business leaders, when I meant the executive leaders, the board members with whom I work, those leaders who had really set a clear vision and and articulated that with clarity and what it means to the purpose, what it means to the impact on human lives, or it could be impact on our lives, impact on the business, impact on the customers, had clearly set a right foundation in terms of helping formulate a data strategy. So those leaders who always brought in technology and asked me to deliver a data strategy, I have literally failed, just to admit my failures there. So it all starts with a compelling vision, which is carved out in a very clear way, with clarity, I meant. So let me take an example of Aadhaar. If you are familiar with
Mm,
Aadhaar in India,
mhm,
which is nothing but that digital ID provided to every citizen. So every Indian has this 12-digit unique ID, and this has to be enrolled by every citizen. So there's a clear case of what digital ID means at a population scale, because Aadhaar has today enabled India and every Indian to identify himself or herself uniquely. Uniquely means Vinay cannot be replicated by a duplicate record, okay, or a duplicate person. And this goes through the principles of actually master data management. This master data management at scale, where we ensure that every citizen has his or her information provided that determines the uniqueness of a record, the integrity of that person in terms of specific attributes. Do you know how many attributes constitute a Aadhaar a database or a record in Aadhaar? It's just six. You
mm,
just need six attributes, max seven. I think they have added one more. Just six attributes to determine an Indian uniquely.
mm,
Wow.
And now, once you have Vinay or Prash as a unique citizen allocated with that 12-digit number, you do a match and merge and ensure you have one Aadhaar ID. You can bring this in various contexts. You can bring the Aadhaar information in terms of authentication. We have a regulation of KYC, know your customer in banking. So you
yeah,
can actually go and open your bank account or using your phone by just doing a KYC electronically, by
mm,
just having an Aadhaar authentication. That just 12-digit number will give you a seamless way in which you open your bank account. Now, this has a network effect. I often emphasize on this because in rural India, opening a bank account is not easy. But with digitally enabled banks, NBFCs as well, you can able to open bank accounts, and that has actually scaled up in terms of opening up about uh, 20 million accounts actually, maybe more than that. So now about
Can you use an acronym
1.4
NBFC? Use an acronym.
non-banking financial institution
mm,
Got
or
you.
corporation.
Okay.
They're typically the corporate the cooperative banks or the
yeah,
private banks as well, or
mhm,
smaller banks which provide loan and incentives. So now 1.4 billion Aadhaar holders exist in India, almost pretty much 99% plus, and there are about 100 billion plus authentications happening, which means it is a trust that this person is unique and
mhm,
he's not a fraudulent person to do a transaction with. So
yeah,
this opens up a huge opportunities in terms of how we go and save our money. How can the government subsidies reach someone like a farmer, right? If he
mm,
has an Aadhaar ID through the banking ecosystem, and this has created a lot of financial inclusion. There is about 70 plus percentage of countries population is today under the financial inclusion, in which all the subsidies and government incentives can reach anyone. So this creates a level of
mhm,
fairness. So that's a ripple effect that have. Now on top of this, from a transactional perspective, you would have heard about UPI, which is the API for transaction or making a
yeah,
payment.
yeah,
So your bank can able to enable your seamless UPI to make a payment using a QR code if you're authenticated, authorized with Aadhaar
mm,
information.
mhm,
So today we have about, just between April to December, I was just running the statistics last year, we have 2.5 trillion transactions that have happened in
mm,
UPI. So I don't carry my wallet at all. I just go with my phone. I can able to make a payment just to have one tender coconut on the street side. So that's the proliferation of the trusted data. So once you have trusted foundation of this master data at scale, you can able to seamlessly run your transactions, interactions, reporting at scale. And now, what is the impact of this is a reduced cost. The transaction cost in terms of the paperwork that happens, the cleaning the record, the bookkeeping and reporting, analytics, all that gets vanished because it's all digitally done, automatically done, automated way. The cost of processing this significantly goes down. It is now said that it's about 20 cents, if I measure with US terms, per
Mm,
transaction as against $20 which existed pre Aadhaar. So that's the 90% reduction value we see. So now if we just apply this paradigm of Aadhaar in context of an enterprise, it's nothing but master data. You have a
mm,
customer record or a supplier record, and you have the top 10 attributes of a customer that uniquely defines this customer
Mm.
across all the contexts you have. Context could be banking, regulations, your complaint management, services, sales, marketing, whatnot, analytics, data science, AI. Now, once you have this record uniquely determined, irrespective of context, you have this ID that can be linked with your context. Your service
yeah,
records can be linked with unique ID. Your customer ID, as in sales and marketing system or a CRM system, SRM system, can be linked. Just like Aadhaar is linked to your driving license, passport, it's the same
yeah,
pattern, right? So this can significantly reduce the cost of operations, and
Yeah.
it can make your company seamless because you have one trusted database on which your company can run. And now it goes back to executives calling, I want a 360 view of a customer or a 360 view of a supplier, but they fail to elaborate or
mhm,
clarify with clarity why they need 360 view.
yeah,
The 360 view of a person at the scale of India is nothing but ability to make a transaction at a fraction of cost seamlessly without carrying the wallet,
yeah.
right? All that he needs is a
Um,
mobile phone and internet, exactly
It's
same
pretty
paradigm.
amazing because
yeah.
I'm one of those what they call the non-residential Indians, so I get to visit India when I'm
Hmm.
once a year, twice a year, 2 years
Yeah,
once or so, and every single time I go, I get astonished by the scale at which the digital things are moving in India, because it's one thing to stay in the country and see every day some incremental change happen. But in my case, I go once in every 2 years or so, right? And suddenly, like the world of India has moved from like here to here, here to there, right?
yeah,
And even I felt like, okay, we have all these Apple Pays and things like that in the US, but they're still very optional in some sense. It still use a card to pay. But in India, like as you said, if you want to go and get a coconut water from a street vendor, he will take an UPI. Like you don't have to carry your wallet with you. And that kind of
yeah,
digital convenience like is next level, right? Like you can do that anywhere you go in India. Like you can go and take a auto rickshaw ride and you can pay through UPI. That's pretty amazing to me. And I think the main part I think about this is the inclusion, which is, the word which
100%.
is often taken lightly, but in a country like India where people are at different levels, like
yeah,
it includes it is inclusive of everyone. Like at the scale at which they are operating at 1.4 billion people,
yeah.
being able to use one system and it's reliable anytime you can use it is pretty amazing. That astonishes me every single time I hear about it.
Abs-
And on your story
Absolutely.
also, I never thought about how Aadhaar plays such a huge role in making commerce and I'm sure so many other things much easier. And it all started with just like data management. It's
Exactly.
just I've always had these, how you need somebody to connect the dots for you, and you did that for me today. And how organizations could look at this one example and right away understand the value it will create, the network effect it will create by simplifying this customer ID or supplier ID and how deep down that trickles.
Exactly.
That's
When
a,
I
that's
opened my company, I all I had to give was my Aadhaar number and PAN number because they both were
Yeah,
linked. Just
yeah,
like in the context of, say, Salesforce ID and an MDM and an ERP ID, just link in one place. But you need to ensure for this to happen, you have standardization, harmonization, the discipline, the
yeah,
validation of ensuring somebody approves it, And the whole principle, the principle, as you said, Prash, is accessibility, scale.
Yeah.
The architecture principles play an extremely important role, and these principles have to make the vision happen. The vision of ensuring everyone gets a fair benefit in the
Yeah.
country is the
Yeah.
principle or the vision that translates into reality. So it's so now coming down to strategy. I think you asked this question, Ash. Strategy is nothing but a method to ensure that you translate your vision into reality, vision into execution. So it's like a game plan. So if you have to win a baseball or cricket, you need to really have an approach, a structured approach and methodology,
Mm.
and that methodology has to be diligently thought through, right? And
Mm.
without strategic approach, vision just remains a vision on a paper, and
Yeah.
execution just creates chaos. And that's what we are seeing today in most of the enterprises.
Mm. No, it's well said. I saw a poster recently, and it was an image of a bridge. And the left side, it said vision, and the right side was achievement. And, bridge had pillars under it. And each pillar was like a word. It was like, discipline and consistency to what Crash was talking earlier, right? And the quote simply said, the bridge between your vision and your achievements is built on the pillars of, discipline, hard work, and consistency. And in your example, like a strategic plan is that bridge in my head, which kind of has
Exactly.
these pillars under it, and just to give visual to everybody of how to make
Exactly.
things real.
Yeah.
Very
Absolutely.
nice.
And this is exactly what has been proven constantly in my experience, is that those engagements, those strategic initiatives and objectives of those companies, which had a clear game plan, leaders sat down to put this game plan, were able to make it successful because execution became seamless. But when this was absent, I was part of those failure teams, those teams which did not succeed because we could not translate, because we were in a hurry to execute something without a game plan.
Mm.
And those lessons always reinforce the significance of having a strategic approach. And that's also the reason I brought in that word, which has become my core belief, to take up any initiative from and look at it from a strategic perspective.
Yeah. Yeah. When maybe that's a great segue into talking about something which we have been noodling upon as we met before. One of the thing which struck for me when we had our initial discussion was it goes into the emotional core of this episode, I think, in my view. And Ash, jump in when you need to have any question on this. But the, one thing which I noticed and we came to know as we was talking to you and I is your passion for the human side of data, right? um, I think we are seeing this especially in the context of a new generation of leaders, new generation of graduates who are coming out of school into the professional market, whether it's data market, analytics market, or any other markets, Gen Z and young millennials specifically. So they're talented. They are also at the same time very anxious about where they're landing in terms of the market that it is right now, which is very volatile, as you know. There is jobs being lost. There's all sort of things going on. At the same time, they're also feeling immense pressure to perform in this market. So, um, as a leader for myself, like I always look at that lens when I'm leading my team and also the folks I kind of mentor on the side. But I think you have a larger story here to tell because you're super passionate about this area. And I think the question is, as a leader, how do you manage that anxiety and how do you tell them that it's going to be okay? And they are, we can provide them an environment where they can thrive, not struggle.
Yeah, so this very core to my journey as well. So what I believe is those leaders who have really built legacy and with whom I have worked. So I'm really fortunate to have worked with one of the fantastic leaders in my career. Those leaders who have shaped me, uh, and I have actually adopted those core principles myself as well in terms of grooming the next level of leaders. So the core principle is about not what you build, right? That's a constant narrative that happens in every enterprise. But the new secret sauce is all about whom we build, right?
Mm.
So the companies that have built legacies today is about whom they have built as next set of leaders. So in the world of uncertainty, vulnerability that exists today with the layoffs, as you mentioned, Prash, I speak to a lot of youngsters today.
Mhm.
They're very aspirant, millennials, Gen Zs. They have a lot of talent, knowledge as well. I think what is really missing is ability to understand themselves.
Mm.
What are their core strengths? What are their weaknesses? And the biggest root cause of this is they're in the game of comparison. So
Mm.
they often compare themselves to others, and they think that somebody living a lavish lifestyle or driving a fancy car or having
Mhm.
an expensive phone is a measure of success.
Mhm.
I think that's also mindset, and that's also the environment in which they are growing as well. But as leaders, I think what we should do is to help them focus on the self. I think this is something that I always tell the folks who are working with me is just again going back to analogy of mobile charger, right? Why do we charge our phone? So the charge often depletes, becomes unusable. Exactly same way, our mind becomes depleted with
Mm.
negative thoughts, comparison. I spoke to an youngster who was worried about his LinkedIn post. I
Mm.
saw the post. It had 126 likes. I asked, why are you worried? He said, I have a friend and he's been reading my post. He's not liking it. Just because one person has not hit the like button. That's how the energy gets depleted.
Yeah.
And
Wow.
that's where the mobile charger is needed. Is to not to worry about it. Don't carry that baggage. Yeah? Just let
Mm.
go. But focus on what you can give. I think that's a principle that can have a significant shift in their mindset in terms of you're putting down the post on LinkedIn, you're sharing your knowledge, and
Mm.
120 people have liked it, they have commented, which means you're already helping someone thrive in uncertainty.
Yeah.
So it's all about helping others.
Yeah.
Now, I think that's a mindset that we need to embed because we don't know who will get laid off tomorrow, who might get impacted.
Mm.
Yeah.
And moment these news evolve in corporate setup, I'm sure you would have resonated this as well. We get into gossips, especially
Mhm.
youngsters, and this happens through WhatsApp channels, it happens through social media, Reddit, and so on. And this
Mm.
creates negative energy. I
Mm.
think we as leaders we had to pull them out. And how do we pull them out? Is one by setting a grand vision. We had to make it clear. Going back to Aadhaar example, right? What it means to them. How can they contribute to a larger vision?
Mhm.
Two, what are their strengths in case they are impacted with a layoff, they're impacted with not getting promoted? How can they still empower themselves to move on? How can they add on more skills? How can they become more relevant? How can they repivot themselves in the age of AI? Can they really
Mhm.
invest that time that they spend on gossiping in terms of upskilling themselves?
Mm.
Can they take up public speaking? Can they take up writing and sharing their knowledge, putting
Yeah.
down a blog post? So many other aspects that we can do. And that actually, when we start helping others, we naturally get empowered,
Yeah.
right? So I think I advocated this: never get rejected just because somebody didn't comment on you,
Yeah.
but focus on developing this attitude of helping others. Be of use, be of help to others, and don't worry about aptitude. You will build on aptitude because aptitude is today questioned in the age of AI, right? So AI can do everything
Yeah.
that humans can do, but what AI cannot do is it cannot develop an attitude of human in terms of uncertainties, in terms of ups and downs in life. How can a humans really focus on the spirit in terms of taking up that as a challenge and developing those skills, developing those muscle, and demonstrating his or her ability to win over it and help others in the ecosystem? I think that's the message I would give, and that comes through learning as a metric. There are a lot of things that goes into this in terms of how one develops a character, how one develops congruence in the sense alignment with the vision. So, am I really someone who can sign up for this vision?
Yeah.
Right. And those are all the questions one need to ask oneself. I also see humility as something that the Gen Zs and millennials have to focus on. Failures are inevitable, but we will be humble. We will have somebody better than us that should make us learn from them. Uh,
Mm.
Ash, we both were telling we we have followed Prash's blog for decades now, that has always motivated, inspired us to write, become writers. So that's the
100%.
impact Prash has created.
Yeah.
Never it made us jealous or right. So it never depleted our energy levels. I think that's comes with the attitude which we
Mm.
have developed. Um, and of course, there is a need for developing our capabilities. If you have to go to a gym and lift 100 kg weight, that cannot happen on a daily basis. One needs to build these capabilities through learning, acquire the skills, soft
Yeah.
skills and hard skills. And this is exactly what I advocate. Nothing about technology. It's all about
Yeah.
our ability to adapt. I think this helps
Building the
leaders
mind.
if they can really exactly ruling the mind. It all starts with mind, and mind starts with thoughts. It's just
Yeah.
work on thoughts, everything will fall in place for you, despite whatever is happening around you. It could be layoffs, it could be not getting promoted, it could be no likes in your
Yeah.
WhatsApp and LinkedIn posts. So you
You
stay
know,
empowered.
you said so many beautiful things, and it reminded me of a quote. I read a long time ago, I think when I was very young, and it was, "You are what your thoughts are. As is your thought, so is your deed. As is your deed, so are your actions, and as are your actions, so is your destiny." Um,
Absolutely.
I can't remember where it was from, but I think I read it in the Seven Spiritual Laws of Success. It was one of the starting quotes in that book. I think what you said about focusing on self and small things like gossip, it seems very, very safe to do that. You know, it's not harmful. You know, what's going to happen? You know, I'll spend an hour there. But those vibrations stay with you because you're in a way shaping your brain waves. And then over time, your motivations become different. You enjoy the small chatter, the small gossip, versus focusing on yourself. And as you do that, over time, the mind becomes a little weaker, a little bit more weaker. The willpower becomes a little less. You tend to be just following the conventional wisdom more rather than trying to think for yourself. And I was taking notes actually, the comparison. We hear it so much, but to hear it from someone like you, it gives more weightage to it. What
Yeah.
you have achieved in life from where you started and the career you have built. So a leader like you talking about, these universal values means a lot because, the message which we're putting out there is in this world where you go on Facebook and everybody's on vacation, it seems like everybody is doing really well. You have to still not worry about it and just come back to yourself and
Exactly.
see what you can give. You said focus on
Yeah.
what you can give. And I think that
Exactly.
is so powerful. Is as you focus from getting away from comparison and focusing more on creation. How can you create? You said
Absolutely.
blog posts. As more and more creativity fills your world, you will attract more people, like we're sitting in this room here, three of us, with
Absolutely.
the same kind of thought frequencies supporting each other. And that is what
Yeah.
I think every individual needs on a personal level, on a community level. This group of individuals who will support that thought and help them, stay motivated, not let the negativity break your mind, but it's your positivity kind of slowly kind of taking it, forward. Um, the conventional wisdom has always been, and I love how you said that it starts with the leaders because young minds get influenced very easily. And, Growing up, I would always see, a CEO or a CIO, and it would seem like untouchable. It would seem like, oh, they're in the board of a Fortune 100 company. That's something, you know?
Yeah,
And we forget that they're humans. We forget that, all these major companies are run by people who are subject to fear,
yeah,
anxiety,
exactly.
and also the positive sides of creating things, of putting the word out there, taking a vision,
mm,
building an achievement. So conventional wisdom has always been, you know, a leader has to be all knowing. And that's why people struggle with this concept a lot. Is like, I can only be successful when I give that image that I know everything. Then only people listen to me.
Absolutely.
And it's a recipe for failure because you can spend all your life trying to build an image and gain the knowledge. But if your end goal is to lead people, you'll never know enough.
yeah,
And
Exactly.
what I love about your message, and my question is about that, is you advocate to embrace vulnerability. Um, it's hard. We on this platform, when we talk about our lives, it's hard for us to share sad stories, personal stories, which are difficult times, because it's a human thing. It's not that it's a bad thing. It's a human thing. People want to show good times. They share good pictures, not about, I had a bad day. Um, how do you think leaders should embrace this openness about their own weakness and help the teams become stronger? Um, you already told us how business problems can be solved when you have a cohesive team, but the biggest hurdle is sort of this subconscious ego, where
mm,
it's not a conscious bias. You're trained naturally by the environment to do certain things, which then become your blind spot or your walls, essentially. And you've done a great job transcending those, reminding yourself of humility. Um, how do you suggest people take that journey, especially on their path to leadership?
Absolutely. So it reminds me on one of my toughest experiences. As a leader, there was a mandate to have an end-to-end traceability of
mm,
devices in one of the clients I worked for. And this was a massive company and it had hundreds of systems, no technology to measure or and depict the traceability.
mhm,
And as an architect, I had to really solve this. And I had no clue about how many systems the device information flow. It's
mm,
typically the product master data, Prash in our world,
yeah,
right? So the company had PIM systems, it had ERP, CRM, complaint management systems, service platforms, e-commerce, name any, you have it.
mhm,
Data lakes, lakehouse architectures, reporting systems, plenty of integrations. And because I was an architect, I was thrown on this challenge to immediately come up because there was an executive ask about
mhm,
what is our maturity of traceability of our core products across this company.
mhm,
So I had to literally handle this situation in a span of time. But what really worked for me is one core principle of mine is to always see end to end, whether somebody tells me or not. It's very important that we look at what is a value chain looks like in any company, right? So I always have this habit of reading the annual reports of every company I work
mm.
for. I follow
That's
before
a
I
treasure
invest.
trove of information, by the way, for
Treasure
those of
trove.
them who are looking to create a strategy aligned to the needs of
Exactly.
the business as to where it's going. Yeah, yeah,
And it comes through the lens of the CEO and the founders.
exactly.
So apply this principle of seeing this end-to-end value chain and then start baking this value chain into each of the functions. Say it could be sales, marketing, you have the manufacturer, research and development, then you have the manufacturing, you have the services, you have the financial reporting applications, and the entire chain of how the company creates value and until it sells its products and services and makes money out of it.
Mhm,
Now, started putting down this value chain when nobody asked for it and didn't exist,
mhm,
and then identified two key people who
mhm,
have functional expertise in every component of the value chain: sales and marketing, one business expert, one technology expert. Manufacturing, again, same. One head of operations or head of plants, and one technical guy who knows the depth of ERP.
Yeah.
Same. Services, one guy. So having them as a team actually helped me understand the depth of what happens on this device and device traceability and the evolution of a product from a raw material into its life cycle
Yeah.
all along this company and the
Yeah.
systems and process it transcends, and started mapping down the process that actually adds value to this product and device along the value chain, and map these process into systems and systems to data.
Yeah.
And this was only possible when I could convince each of these two ambassadors in every value chain. And I didn't tell them about value chain. I just took this as siloed information. But as in when I learned this, I could draw an end-to-end picture. It was like taking a rock of
Yeah.
wild shape and started sculpting on this rock to give it a shape without telling that this rock will turn into a beautiful idol of a god with say hands, legs, the kirita and all the flowers and the garlands, where each of the function represent multiple parts of this sculpture. Then I told them the power of the teamwork, the power of cohesion, and how each of them connected with each of their work. Until then, they remained as silos. So this actually translated into an end-to-end data flow diagram without any technology investment, but people investment, empowering each one of them to share their knowledge. Again, give before you get. And what we could put as a team was a fantastic traceability with a very short span of time. But this actually had again a network effect. I could go back and show the leaders who asked for this about the points of failures in the plants, points of failures in services, the number of complaints the companies receive, impact on the P&L, impact on the bottom line as well, and the investors questioning them on exactly the same points on what is the challenge around the operational efficiency, what are your investments in the new technologies when technologies were all siloed. The duplicate technologies came out as part of that, which meant there was additional cost of ownership, which impacted the bottom line. There were data quality issues that came up. There was a lack of master data, which did not establish trust across some of the functions because leaders didn't talk to each other. So this actually shaped up into a business case in terms of how we can make this technology centric and process centric than people centric. Because I had taken a people first approach, but people will move on, right? So we also had to bring in people, process, technology together, and this helped me craft a business case to bring in a data platform across the company that actually opened up doors for me in terms of setting up an enterprise data catalog, putting down an end-to-end business and technical lineage, strengthen the master data management platform, making the data ready as a product.
Yeah.
And broadly, this actually evolved to be a modern data architecture. So one problem statement, numerous doors of opportunity. So it all starts
Right.
with one thing of give value first before you ask. So we usually go out and ask for sponsorship, right, to our
Yeah.
leaders. But can we deliver value first without asking anything? Then show that the power of people as a team can actually achieve something bigger than themselves. That's
Yeah.
a narrative somebody has to put if we have to really come. It's tougher than I say. It's easier said done, as we say. But it is possible, is what I have proven in my
Yeah.
experience.
I
With
love that
commitment,
because
it's absolutely possible.
yeah, I love that because specifically the point you made about reading annual reports. Like I work with as a marketer, I work with our sales team a lot closely. And when you're in a B2B high selling motion where you're not selling a product, but you're selling the outcome, right? It's very important for sellers to know, in our case, the what's in their annual 10K, what is their company goal, what is that the company is trying to do. Are they trying to save cost? Are they trying to reduce churn of the customers? Are they trying to go on a new initiative, completely remodernize their IT architecture? Some of that important information is hidden right in the 10K, right? I'm
Exactly.
so happy now we have all these, GPTs of the world to help us kind of
Absolutely.
break down 10Ks into something
Yeah,
meaningful and easy to understand quickly, because that's a long document to read, to be honest, and sometimes
indeed.
can be boring. But where do we what is the pain we need to sell to, and who are the key stakeholders? I think you seem to have figured out a great way to sort of identify that when you talked about that device tracking use case. That's amazing to me. I think those are the kind of things I think our audience can benefit a lot from when you talk about that. Um, I have one another important topic that I want to talk about as we sort of wind down towards the closure of this. By the way, time passed, and I didn't even realize how long we've been speaking. But one thing right now, which is going on in the market, as you know, and is the complete chaotic environment that we've been sort of post-pandemic world that we have walked into. Right, there are layoffs, there's AI disruption, there is budget cuts, there are people let go left, right, and center. Um, I mean, it feels like a different reality than what we were used to before the pandemic. Probably there's a logical sort of transition time, it feels like. And if you're a mid-level data manager right now, what is the skill that you need to focus on? What is the skill you need to cultivate? What is the skill you need to stand out? Because we all work in these industries. We all are trying to be meaningfully contributing the company's bottom line and things, but it feels like a different reality. So I'm curious what you had to say for those folks who are listening to this.
See, I would start with self care. Right? I
Mm,
know we need to upskill ourselves with technology. That is a compelling force for all of us,
mhm,
and learning is part of our life now.
mhm,
I don't
mhm,
deny that, and I would encourage one. But catching up with the advancements happening is has become impossible. At least I'm not able to catch up with advancements in the AI that's happening now. As we speak, probably we would have few models
yeah.
released in the market. Uh, but what it means to me, at least the way I handle, is to let go.
Mm,
I receive a lot of WhatsApp messages, emails about the modern trends happening, latest models release,
mm,
what is not working, impact on the stock markets, which is good to know, but we should not carry that baggage. So it
mm,
again comes back to self care in terms of how do we insulate ourselves, how do we empower ourselves from these
mhm,
disruptions that are happening, but still stay relevant. So our skills gives us staying relevant, but self empowerment will insulate us, not isolate, but insulate us in terms of not getting impacted, in terms of getting into chaos, anxiety, fear, which is
yeah.
natural human tendency, and that comes with focusing on mind.
Mm,
And the way I do it is being a spiritual seeker in terms of understanding myself, understanding my core values, living by it, and not really getting disrupted or not really getting upset by the changes that are happening. So when I change, the world changes. That's also my principle. So I also look at how I deal with changing myself, irrespective of whatever is happening within the industry or within my circle as well. But focus on building a strong mind, and that
mhm,
also comes with building a strong body. So it's a strong mind and strong body is something that every manager should live by example, so that they can make their ecosystem, their teams, and if each of us take care of ourselves, I think world will take care of itself. And that's
mm,
where the imbalance is today. And I know
mm,
it's a very subtle topic, nothing related to data management and
yeah.
architecture, but
Yeah.
it's about being the true humans. And that's what our
Yeah.
ancestors and some of the value systems in which we have thrived as well.
Yeah.
And that has become very important today in the age of what is happening all around us.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh, that's so true. I think I love the way you make it sound so easy and transition from the spiritual to the physical and then back to the, your conversations flow so smoothly between the two topics. But absolutely, I think self-care has to be a foundation of everything which we do, just because there's so much coming at us that
Exactly.
it's just if you don't build a strong mind, it's very easy to feel overwhelmed and anxious. And just the whole process of knowing yourself, which you said, know your values, know who you are, and it takes a while to find that because that's going to help you calibrate better in what you want to
Absolutely.
focus on. You went through this whole journey of, discovering yourself and kind of answering, am I ready to start my own venture? And now you're building strategic business networks. When you look back at your 25 years legacy at this point, and you're starting from zero, this new chapter, right? What's the North Star principle that you want to leave the audience with? What does success look like to Vinesima 2.0?
2.0,
I
I love
think,
it. I wish we had a 2.0, all of us. Like, can we restart again and have a second go at it? We start from scratch.
yeah, yeah. I think we should. See, there is always 2.0 for all of us, and
Mm,
very often I have also pivoted myself in my life and career, and my friends, family know this better than anyone
mhm,
else. When I was a mechanical engineer, as from a qualification perspective, I repivoted as an ERP expert. And I was
mm,
known as an ERP expert in the industry. I pivoted myself into an MDM and data governance expert. And
mm.
when I was known as an MDM expert, I became a data architect and a corporate leader. So when I was known as a corporate leader, I repivoted myself as an entrepreneur with starting from ground zero. I think that version needs to happen as
Mm,
humans we evolve, uh,
mm.
as we grow as well, and that is essential, and that's part of nature as well. Seasons change, as we know, the timings change. Nothing is constant, so change is the only constant.
Yeah,
But what remains core is our beliefs. So I still believe that data can make or break any business of any
mm,
size, any shape, any country, businesses that build any products and services. The core is data.
yeah,
And say few years from now, say 20 years from now, if I had to still go back to my belief, this is something that is a purpose with which I'll continue to drive my
mm,
life and my business as well. And most importantly, the success I'm going to measure is I'm not looking for the best run company, but I'm
yeah,
looking for those companies which I can make best and
mm,
with using their data, right? Whether we use AI or digital transformation or we do it with only people, that's a
yeah,
part of solution. But I'm looking my success as successes of those companies who are struggling today and can benefit from the lessons of both success and failures in my journey, which I'm now trying to put down as part of
yeah,
my offerings and help them succeed. So that's
yeah,
my success metric, and that's a journey,
yeah.
fulfilling journey I'm looking to embark on.
Yeah, I absolutely love that, Vinay. So thank you for, first of all, thank you for taking time to share this. I think there's not many leaders who can step back and think the way you are thinking with us on this and kind of articulate your vision, your strategy, your support for younger generation, all of that fun stuff we talked about today. I feel like we still, I mean, I'm looking at my recording time right now, 59 minutes, almost an hour, and we still haven't touch some of the key topics that I wanted to touch on, like your guidance on ERP modernization. The companies are struggling there. I think there is some support we should provide for them through the lens of what you can share. There is vendor selection part, which I want to talk a little bit about. I was really influenced by your post on LinkedIn, how you suggest people should think about selection of different vendors for solving problems. Um, I would love to have you back here, and Ash, I think you will agree. We
Same
should bring
here.
back Vinay again for the episode too. But before we wrap up, Vinay, how can people contact you? What's the best way to? I mean, it's
Best way
probably
is
easy to LinkedIn, but tell us
LinkedIn.
what's the best way. Yeah.
It could be LinkedIn, or they could even email me to vinay@globalsbn.com.
Okay.
It's
We'll
Vinay
put that in
at
the show notes.
global.
Yeah.
You can just put it in the
Yeah.
notes,
Yeah.
globalsbn.com.
Mm-hmm.
Happy to feel free to reach out to me. Happy to help in whatever way possible. And first of all, thanks to both of you, Ash and Prash. Such a wonderful conversation. I'll cherish for rest of my life, and I hope audience allows this. And I look forward to the feedback as well. Please feel free to comment and share your thoughts as well.
Yeah.
Thank
Ash, any
you.
comments before I close it?
Just want to thank Vinay for the lovely conversation, and we will have to have you back, Vinay, to what Pras said.
Sure.
But thank you. I've taken so many notes, and personally, I think I've grown in this hour.
My notes right
And
here. I was filling
Wow.
my page
Awesome.
literally. So
Thank you.
thank
thank you
you,
for that,
Vinay.
Vinay.
Again, this is another
Great.
great episode of Data Wars podcast,
Sure.
folks. I hope you enjoyed it. I enjoyed having this conversation. I know Ash did too. And Vinay, thank you so much for doing this. And
Thank
there it
you.
is. Episode and wrap up.
Thank you.